This is Stephanie Phillips for Farm and Country. If you missed Diana Weiner's recommendations for plants that like sunny areas, you'll want to check the audio archives on wjffradio.org. Today I'm going to ask Diana about plants for more difficult garden spots. But first, I wanted to know about her background. Diana, when did you start at Sullivan Renaissance, and what is your title here?
It's very interesting that you ask that because I actually started volunteering for Sullivan Renaissance back when they started the very first year. Jerry Skoda called me from Cooperative Extension in Sullivan County and asked me to come up and judge for the program. And it was brand new and he wasn't sure what it was all going to be about, but I would figure it out. And I did. But I saw that they had a job available in 2013, expanding the program, and they were looking for a full-time horticulture coordinator and a full-time volunteer coordinator. I applied for both, but I was geared towards the horticulture end of it, which I was happy for. So I've been here since January of 2013.
Diana has previously provided suggestions for what to plant in sunny areas, but we know that a gardener has plenty of choices for those spots. Listen to what Diana said when I brought up some more challenging garden situations. Of course, there are the problem areas, the shady areas. What plants will work out in those places?
See, now I think shade areas are the best places. They've always been my most magical gardens. I love them. In my shade areas, I do have a deer fence up, so I can plant hostas, but I also have May-apples. I have Canadian ginger and European ginger, Epimedium, which is called Bishop's Cap, which is a beautiful deer-resistant dry shade perennial, which is terrific to have. There are some biennials. One is called Phacelia, which has beautiful purple flowers. Mine, it's the second year, so I'm getting buds, soon flowers, soon seeds, and then the seeds will drop. Next year, I'll just have the leaves, but I should have double of what I have this year. I like pink lily of the valley. I know that can be out of control, but the pink does well for me. Early spring, Dutchman's breeches were coming up, and double bloodroot, and some other beautiful corydalus, which is a bulb with beautiful pinkish red flowers. And then the many ferns, maidenhair and the Felix femina, which is such a fine-leaved fern. Those are great. And oh gosh, what else? And there's some Asian plants, but they're not invasive, that you might want to consider. Some of those are May-apples. One has a great name, Kaleidoscope, that I love, or Spotty Dotty, and they have spotted leaves. So that's just some of the many that you could easily grow.
I have bleeding hearts, which are so pretty.
Yeah.
And also the lunaria, the money plant, which is a biennial, seems to do okay in the shade. It would rather not be in the shade, but it seems to make it.
Sure. And the bleeding heart, there's another one that blooms a little bit longer, and that's the Exemia, Dicentra exemia. Very feathery leaves. Try that one. I think you'll like it.
And then we have to talk about soil.
I love talking about soil.
Some of our soils are sandy, some of them are clay. If we're lucky, we have some loam, but usually it's mixed in with a lot of rocks. Can you give us some advice about what to grow in those kinds of various soils?
Well, I mean, the most important thing when you move someplace is to take a look at what you can and can't grow there. Now, we live on Mutton Hill Road, so I think the only thing that can grow there is what sheep can graze on, and it's very rocky. So when we grow our vegetables, we obviously have to grow them in raised beds. And we raise all of our planters up, and we make stone walls, and we bring soil in that we know is good topsoil, because that's how we have to garden. We just can't get into our soil. But if you are lucky to have some soil depth here in Sullivan County, first thing that you want to do is get your soil tested. For $20, you can bring it to Cornell Cooperative Extension, and they send it away, but you get a complete analysis of what nutrients are in it. They'll also tell you what % organic matter is in that native soil that you have. Then you know what you're working with, and then you can get recommendations for what you may need to add or what it may be lacking. You can also do a simple pH test, and it takes, just with dry soil, seconds to do, to see where the pH lies. You can tell by the color of soil. If it's a nice, beautiful, dark brown, that it's probably full of nutrients and organic matter. Of course, that red clay that we do have in the county, it's obviously going to be clay just by its color and high iron content as well. So the color will tell you. There is a soil map for Sullivan County, and you can go to the Cooperative Extension or come visit me here at Sullivan Renaissance, and we can look up on the map exactly where you live, and we could tell you what your native soil is, what the depth of that soil may be, and what the parent material was, what kind of rock actually broke down to make the type of soil it is. And in that map, it tells you how tillable it is, because it's used for farmers and has been for years.
We have a lot of hemlocks in the woods around us, so I assume that means that the soil is acid, although I haven't tested it. Would that be a logical conclusion?
Yes, sometimes plants can be great indicators about the soil acidity or alkalinity. So yes, when you see a lot of pines and hemlocks, beech trees, you'll know that you're running on the acid side. We have a lot of native high bush blueberries and some low bush in the county, and they need a pH of 4.5 to 5.5, and most of our plants like a pH between 5 and 7. So that's much lower than usual. So if you want to grow crops that are edible, most of them do like almost a neutral pH or between 6 and 7. So you're going to have to add ground limestone to sweeten the soil. But again, if you don't know what the pH is, you don't know how much to add, and that's why that test is so important.
Well, I don't know. Our raspberries seem not to care. They like anything.
Yeah, there are some plants that just don't care, and they have a wide range.
You've mentioned a lot of plants here, and I'm sure our listeners aren't familiar with all of them. Can you give us the website where they could go and look at the pictures?
Oh, sure. More than happy to. It is www.sullivanrenaissance.org. And when you get onto our webpage, just go to the pull down for resources, and we have a whole chapter on gardening with information like you would not believe. Everything from deer-resistant plants to how to plant a tree.
It's a lovely page. It's got beautiful pictures of many, many of the local plants. Yeah. Diana, I can't help asking, do you have a garden yourself?
Oh my goodness, yes. When we moved here, we bought a house, and the previous owner retired, was a gardener, but then closed up all her gardens and made them very sterile and put landscape fabric down and wood chips and shrubs to sell the property. So since we've been there, really since the fall of 2013, we've ripped out many of the mundane, and we've added a lot of our plants. We moved up here with 155 pots of perennials and shrubs.
Wow. So you're mostly growing bushes and flowers. You're not a vegetable gardener.
Oh, no, big vegetable gardener. We have 7 raised beds that are 10 feet long. So we grow a lot of vegetables. And we also have a greenhouse. My husband is a rare plants enthusiast. He's a succulent and cacti guy. So he has a small business called Stories Never Sink Plant Company.
Great. You've been listening to Diana Weiner talk about how to select plants from the Sullivan Renaissance Collection. And this has been Stephanie Phillips for Farm and Country.